Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the JustDoorToolZ LCN 1460 regular REG Permanent Template for LCN 1460 series closers. So JustDoorToolZ makes a number of door installation aids is what it is. There is a horizontal row of navigation above this video that will allow you to review all of the door installation aids that they make. And we have sold, unfortunately, not enough of these tools. I would like to sell a lot more. It is a very simple and elegant tool. I have certainly installed my share of closers. I have drilled for closers, prepped for locks, measured, compared templates and the actual hardware, and made sure everything works for many years. And this is a very simple and straightforward tool. Now, some people will opt to buy the lock installation kit, to buy the installation tool, to buy all of the aids. And a lot of people just love doing that. And it's because it allows them to just move quickly and through the work. They know how to install the lock, but they'd rather just mark holes and drill and be done with it. There are other people that, might work more in a shop setting alone and say, well, I don't need to pay for that template. I can manufacture one. I would always be precluded to just making my own template. And I'm a big proponent of making my own template or having a template. Whether you make it or buy it doesn't matter to me. But I'm a proponent of having a template because once you have a template, you can make quick work of it and you can decentralize the work. Making your own template or buying one manufactured, the advantage of making your own is that I guess there's no upfront cost, but there is a substantial cost, is just the bottom line. It will take time to manufacture that first template and hope that you get it right. The advantage of buying one is that they're usually laid out easier for the masses to understand how they work. If I make a template, I'm not marking anything on it. I'm not indicating the top. I'm just making it and nailing it to the door and doing my work. This is something that you could hand to someone in the installation instructions and say, have at it. No need to talk. Or you might need to deploy 6 of these all at once. And making 6 templates is not what you have time for. So, I think there are times when you can make an installation aid yourself, and then there are situations and times where you don't. This client, bought this 1460 regular REG template and the 4041 REG template. They obviously have a project where they want to be able to quickly move through it. One nice thing about this is most door closers are installed on the doors when the doors are hung, okay? So you're in the opening, there's people walking through the opening, and you just want to be left alone. This sort of template, they're saying, lay the door flat. Put it on your workbench, your workspace, your sawhorses, whatever it is. Lay everything in flat. And now what's nice about that is one person can be drilling all the holes, marking the holes and pre-drilling all the holes. Here, go hang the door. Give me another one. Boom, 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 and build his pile. And then the door hangers, bring that pile down. Okay? So that's another nice reason why this makes a lot of sense. And it's very durable. If you get it wet, it's not going to be the end of the world. If you drop it, you're probably going to nick it, but you hopefully won't deform it to the point where it can't be used. So it looks like there's a lot of gobbledygook on here. And there really isn't, is the bottom line. You've got a right-hand door and you've got a left-hand door. You've got 2 ways that your door is going to swing. Here's why. This is the REG template. That 1460 can be installed in a top jam mount, in a regular arm mount, in a parallel arm mount, then other possibilities, corner brackets maybe. I don't know if they exist for the 1460. With drop plates, that will affect it all. This template is specifically and exclusively for a regular arm installation, which means the door closer body is on the door, the shoe is on the header, and it is on the pull side of the opening. This template won't work for anything else. Or it won't work for any other closer. It won't work for any other, well, I don't know if it wouldn't work for any other closer. Probably won't. That 1460 is a bit odd in its mounting holes. Won't work for any other mount, parallel arm or top jam. It's not appropriate for that. Now there's a link below this video to the installation instructions, and let's hop in and review those, and then we're going to kind of analyze the actual piece of metal. And this weighs about 1 1/4 pounds. It's obviously a gray speckle type of paint. You know, I don't know if it's powder coated. It might be. It looks like it has a small texture of powder coating, which is good because powder coating is an incredibly durable process. Let's look at the installation instructions that are included with the paperwork. So let's take a closer look at those. Okay, so now looking at the included paperwork, when it comes to the installation, this first page is really a reference to a closer arm in a parallel arm fashion type mount. They're obviously showing us the underside of the header here, okay, where you're going to mount a parallel arm bracket. So, you know, having looked at this manufacturer's installation instructions in the past and having also, you know, just digested the information and, you know, cross-referenced it against my understanding of how door closers are installed, the easiest way to proceed with these folks is to simply read it. For maximum degree shown on template, flush the template with the stop. And again, this is for a parallel arm mount. If it's a regular arm mount, it doesn't apply. But going over the installation instructions, flush the template with stop on frame at hinge side. Use pencil to mark the holes for the closer arm. Okay. And that will give you the maximum degree. And what they want you to do next is, if you want to change the degree from the maximum to whatever else is possible for the door closer, this one says 90, well, over here for the arm, 90 and 120. What you would do in this case is you would, let's say you wanted to do 120. They're showing 90. Let's say you wanted to do 120. Take a pencil and mark through the hole. Then what you do is you literally take the template and slide it over to flush the edge of the template to the mark that you've made so it looks like this. Just like this. Now, why do we know that's correct? Because the further away you install the door closer from the vertical axis of pivoting, the degree of opening is reduced. Okay, so it does make perfect sense that our unit is going to be at its maximum opening when it is closest to the vertical axis of pivoting. Now, what this company has done is already made the mathematical calculations for the projection of the stop. Now, they're clearly assuming that this is a 5/8 projection stop, and that the arrangement of the hinges will not be raised barrel or swing clear or Tectus or sauce, etc. So some generalities have been concluded, but let's face it, that's 99% of your installations, okay? And that's what this template's going to hit. Now, when we get to page 2, that's where it really comes into play for us to understand the door closer body, because in our application, and while this is the same template for a parallel arm mount, it's the same concept. You'll have an R on one side and an L on the other. Okay, you're going to apply it with that face out depending on your hand of opening. These installation instructions are definitely showing us a parallel arm mount sort of application. This could be a 4041 that's shown here. I don't know exactly the closer model. The instructions are generic. The application, though, is universal. Same concept. Flush it to the edge of the door if you want the maximum degree of opening, and mark, and then mark your holes. These are obviously for the body. It is certainly, and that's your 5th hole, by the way, on a parallel arm bracket. It is certainly going to make a lot of sense for you to have the paper template so that you can understand what you're doing. And again, if you want to change, let's say you wanted to go to 120, mark your pencil hole here, and then slide your template over for the edge of the template to be on that pencil mark. So what they're showing here is the maximum degree of opening, and down here is if you want to change the degree of opening. It's mark the hole, slide it over. It's that simple. On the third page that they have here, the holes drilled are for the degree of opening shown on the edge of the permanent template. Okay, so that's where these holes are. If you flush that to the edge of your door or to the stop, that's what you're getting. To use this permanent template for 90, mark the hole, slide it over, just as it's shown here. They're showing 90 here. Slide it over, and now it's going to be at 90. Permanent templates can also be designed to lay out multiple degrees, as they're showing. Okay, so really all they've done is gone over that concept several and many times. What's important is that you use a sorry. That you use a center punch or pencil to mark the holes. There are no bushings on this template. There's no protection. You will not put a drill bit on it at all, or you're going to ruin the template. So a center punch is nice. A pencil is nice as well. If this is your first time, use a pencil. After you know you're ready to rock and roll, use a center punch, because that will solve two problems. It will mark your hole, and it will allow you a place to have your drill bit start. Now, you will not, of course, use a center punch when you're marking your degree. That has to be a pencil. Okay, so be mindful of that. You don't want a center punched hole just for marking your degree of opening. Now, below this video, there is an older version of the installation instructions, which are simply here, and I don't think anything's changed. These are from about 2016, and the newer document is from 2019. So now let's take a review of the actual metal template itself. Okay, now let's look at the actual template. First of all, some basic dimensional properties. Like I said earlier, weighs about 1.2 pounds, about 1.13 pound. Overall length, 18 inch. Overall height, about 6 3/16. Thickness of the steel, 0.038. So, not real thick, but not sure it needs to be any thicker. It's durable as it is. I wouldn't, want to throw it against the wall, but I wouldn't want to throw anything against the wall. Now, as we're looking at this, again, regular arm. You're mounting these on the pull side. No parallel arm, no top jam, no drop plates, no corner brackets, no creative methods of installation that we've all seen in applications. So, you're going to flush this basically to the edge of the door. Okay, or you'll mark it. This manufacturer's original template would only show you really data for 110 degree and then maximum. If you want 110, which is you probably do, you'll mark that and you'll just slide it over and you're good to go. Center punch or with a pencil, mark all 6 of your holes. And then if it's the first time that you're doing it, yeah, do a reality check. Look at the template, look at the closer. Make sure that JustDoorToolZ did this correctly. Of the ones that I've sold, I've never had a single concern that it was not accurate. Not at all. But, check the first one. If you're going to do 50 doors, check that. If you're going to do one door, check it. Layout and drill for closers before you swing doors using permanent templates. You can lay it on your sawhorses. Decentralize the work, as I said earlier. Works great while the door is swinging too. You can hang the door. You can have the door hung, obviously. It's going to hang on the top of the door, on the pull side. And all templates have all degrees on them. Now, the degrees, all degrees refers to a reference, obviously, to the manufacturer's original template, which is what the company obviously did. Took the manufacturer's template, distilled that into the what I would imagine to be their CNC data for drilling a piece of steel like this. Now, you know, if you want to try to accomplish 180 minus 110 is 70, if you wanted to get to a 145 degree angle, you know, split it in half. That's because there is a relationship between the distance from the vertical axis of pivoting to your reference point. In this case, it would be all of these holes. But generally, your reference point would be to the first set of screws and then a center to center for everything else. Now, as we study this template, you're going to see something funny. Eventually, you're going to see something funny, because you're not going to lay out all these holes on your door. These holes are for the arm. Okay, the holes don't go over here. Okay, so here's how that works. Let's say that you are doing this template. This is a left-hand door, so it looks like this. As you're watching this video, this is a left-hand door, okay? If you are when you're doing this left-hand door, hinge side is over here. In order to get these two holes laid out correctly, here's all you're going to do. Flip it over, flush this to the underside of the header, and it will give you these two holes. The bottom line is you have to flush this to the proper, you know, edge of the door-ish. So you'll have to margin it for your 1/8 of an inch gap. You'll have to smooch it over. Actually, will you? Let's see. What will you flush it against? Yeah, you have to have the same point of reference. So if this template is referencing the edge of the door. So as you're doing this, again, you're going to just flip it over. Now it's on the face of the header, and then margin it to the underside of the header and slide it up. That's the only way that can work. And the logic from the manufacturer is, well, if you know how to lay it out by hand, and then you have the permanent template, you can kind of say to yourself, well, how in the gospel will that work? Margining this from the top of the header and letting it hang down, probably not a good idea, because they don't know if you're doing 2-inch headers, 4-inch headers, something odd. But that margin from the underside of the header will always be consistent unless you have an unusual margin. You know, a cam lift hinge would cause that margin to be unusual. You know, a 3/16 versus an 1/8 of an inch, or maybe even a 1/4 inch. But that's how you'll do that. You're just going to flip it over. Let us take a closer look at this to illustrate what the point is. Now, to illustrate what that is going to look like, you have your header. So when we have our door here, you know, we know we're going to hang that little template right here. And we're going to flush it to the edge of the door, or to our mark, 180 degree, or we're just simply going to margin it to our mark. That's it. Now, after you've done this prep, you're then going to literally take the template, flip it over. So now it looks like this. Just 180 degree it. That's all. Don't do anything other than just flip it right in front of you. Okay, that's the point that we're trying to make. Also, maybe in elevation, template here, take it, flip it up so now that it looks like this. The point is that the okay, if you get my meaning, the bent over ends are always working within the distance or the area between the header and the top of the door. So at that point, if you observe that rule, there's no other way to do it, meaning you're not going to hang it off of here and then hang it down on the header. Okay, hopefully that serves to clarify that. Now, in the interest to finish up this video, nice quality template. I have spoken to the factory in the past. The person who answers the phone is answering the technical support questions. I get the impression that they're a relatively small company, which to me translates to nimble. I don't know if they manufacture to order. They might. A little bit of lead time, but what isn't? I'm sure I wouldn't be making 100 of these templates to sit on the shelf for who knows how long. And looking at it, depending on how they're manufactured, they're relatively not very difficult if there's some semi-automation. Here's the bottom line. Most people fall into the camp of really benefiting from permanent templates. These are very nice. They're well laid out. Now, above this video, again, there's a horizontal link of navigation that you could click on door installation tools or permanent templates. And permanent templates is the purview of JustDoorToolZ. They have permanent templates for a variety of items, locks, exit devices, obviously door closers are there. Okay, I have reviewed their products in the past, and I've always found it to be simple and straightforward. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the JustDoorToolZ that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, a link to their product catalog, which is very handy. You might want to scroll or take a trip through that. There's very likely something that you're going to need as well. Their door dolly, that is a nice piece of equipment in the sense of if you move doors around and you don't use a door dolly like that, or a door cart, however you want to call it, when I'm in the shop alone, I'm not using that. Okay, I'm just picking up the door and moving it. The downside of that is it's dumb to do that. Okay, doors are substantially heavy, and as a much younger individual, it was certainly no problem. And if you have other workers, co-workers, employees, do you really want to expect them to lift something that is so heavy that even UPS, it will even exceed UPS's guidelines for weight? Okay, so the logic of having that is not only because it's kind of common sense, but there really should be no reason why anyone should hurt themselves, and not nearly as important, but damage the product. Okay, so I would consider that. The door stand is nice. I've machined thousands of doors, and I've used a door stand. We've manufactured my own like this. I've ordered stuff that works that way. And that door dolly is awfully nice. They have that door lifter as well as you look in the catalog. That's handy because, you just need that half of an inch help to get the door up or whatever it might be. That's a nice, that is a nice product to have, especially if you're trying to do it alone, is just the bottom line. You shouldn't try to be doing stuff alone, but there are times, the locksmiths who are out there swinging doors and frames and putting on hardware, yeah, they don't have a helper with them in a lot of instances. The catalog gets into some other installation tools. They have a VIX bit that's there, and if you've never used a VIX bit, you will not want to ever pre-drill a hole for a hinge screw again. That's the greatest tool of all time in a certain fashion. Okay. They have other tools here as well, and what I'm looking at are their shims, and I stammered because I didn't see immediately where it says for fire rated doors. The bottom line is if you're going to shim a fire rated door, it must be made of steel. The old joke that we have in the certified fire door inspection class is if you're going to shim doors with a business card or a piece of cardboard, be sure to use your competitor's business card. Shims must be made of steel for fire-rated doors. Other items are in there. The Door Doctor hinge re-swagging tool is there. This company does not manufacture that, but you can order that through them. Door gap gauge, that's important if you're going to get into fire door inspections. The door pressure gauge, that's really handy to have around. Reinforcement pieces, latch parts for routers. It goes on and on. I won't beleaguer all those points here, and you can easily refer to that material. Seems like nice stuff is the bottom line. Frame dimpler is there if you have to do a dimple. I don't like using a tool like that. I've tried it. I don't find that I have good success with them, but it's probably more of a reflection of my lack of skill in the matter, etc. Okay, so any questions on the 1460 REG JustDoorToolZ template or any other JustDoorToolZ product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.